Good day, everyone, and welcome to the Big Map podcast, where we break down serious national issues in simple and relatable way. So today we are talking about something very serious, but often been overlooked: the role of federal ministries in nation building. Most times we just blame people, Nigerians, we do a lot of talking without action, without even the right information. There are people that are supposed to be working hand in hand with government in propelling this nation to the right direction. And one such of those people are those working in the ministries. So today we will be looking at the role of federal ministries in nation building. Some persons you might have been hearing Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Health, or Ministry of Work, Ministry of Labor, on news. But have you really sit down to ask yourself, what exactly are these ministries supposed to do? Are they truly helping to develop the Nigeria the way they should? Are they really effective in Nigeria? What is their function? So we will break it down. Because I feel it's high time we begin to know, how Nigeria works and start holding the right people accountable. So, what are ministries? Federal ministries are the primary administrative structure through which government policies are created and implemented. So each ministry is headed by a minister, supported by the permanent secretaries, directors, technical and administrative staff. Now here is how a ministry works. The minister provides the political leadership and direction of the ministry. The permanent secretaries ensure continuity and proper administration, while the technical and administrative staffs in forms of departments and agencies execute the policies on ground. So when the president sets an agenda, ministries are the ones that bring it to life. So you can see that the ministries are actually the engine room of governance. So nation building is not magic. You don't just wake up one morning and a nation appears from somewhere, all planned out or settled. No, it is not magic. Nation building requires planning, coordination, execution, and accountability. You can do all your design or your mapping out, but if you are not accountable, you are not going to function well. So when a ministry comes in, they are expected to develop policies that guides the growth of a particular section, implement government plans for a particular sector, supervise agencies and parastatals of that sector, and ensure services reach the people. So for example, the Ministry of Works handles roads and infrastructure. The Ministry of Health ensures hospitals and healthcare systems are functioning. The Ministry of Health ensures hospitals and healthcare systems are functioning. The Ministry of Agriculture works on food security. So in reality, every ministry is a pillar holding up the country's development. If one fails, the impact is felt elsewhere. So when ministries function effectively, what happens? You see roads get better, schools start improving, hospitals function properly, jobs are created, and security is strengthened. When ministry function properly, you don't just go to work, but you experience, good working conditions. And you see that the nation, from economic boosting to job security, you see the citizens are happier because employers are conscious of regulations and they know they are being monitored by government. You see that farmers will have good roads to sell their goods. You see that investors will have good environment to invest. So you see that the importance of ministries cannot be overemphasized. This is what is called nation building, a coordinated effort where every sector is working. But here is the truth. If one ministry fails, it affects others. No good roads, agriculture suffers. No power, industry collapses. Weak education, workforce become unskilled. That is why ministry must work together and not in silos. Ministries are supposed to complement government efforts, not just exist on paper. The other day I was listening to the news and I read where the governor was having a supervisory tour and noticed a civil servant that has not arrived at work as late as I think 9 a.m. if I'm correct. And thank God the governor, after investigation, I heard suspended the worker for 6 months without pay. That is the level of indiscipline and unaccountability in our ministries and government sectors. So ministries are supposed to complement government efforts and not just exist on paper. And how do they do this? They do this by turning government ideas into actionable plans, ensuring policies don't just stay in Abuja but reach the grassroots. When you bring out a policy, there should be a follow-up on implementation, monitoring progress and correcting failures, coordinating with other ministries to avoid gaps. But let's be honest, development is not one-dimensional. You cannot fix education without power. You cannot grow agriculture without good roads. You cannot improve healthcare without proper funding. That means ministries must work together like a system, not in isolation. But the reality is this: if ministries are doing all these things effectively, why are we still facing so many challenges? Poor infrastructure, weak healthcare system, unemployment. The problem is not the absence of ministries. The problem is often inefficiencies, poor coordination, lack of accountability, corruption. Most of our ministries are corrupt because when ministries fail to perform, policies don't translate to results. Projects are abandoned. And when projects are abandoned, definitely the citizens will suffer now. How many citizens have money to fly planes? Have money to visit private hospitals? So what is the way forward? And that is where we as citizens need to come in. For ministries to drive nation building, few things must happen. One, accountability must be taken seriously. Even ministries should be answerable for its performance. Collaboration must improve. No ministry should operate like an island. Focus on results, not just policy. Any policy that is not making the life of the people to be better should be removed and replaced with a better one. So as citizens, we must start using our social media and public platforms to be like a community meeting. Let's call out these obvious concerns. Let's start holding every ministry accountable. Let's engage them through civil societies and union. Join groups that advocate for accountability. Join groups that advocate for accountabilities. We can write petitions. We can report oversights to bodies that are watching over these ministries. When they start saying that citizens are now aware and are calling them, every ministry head will start doing the needful. But because Nigerian youth are easily distracted, what we need to be discussing on our social media platform is how to get the country to be better. So we need to understand that as citizens, we have a role to also play, and a big role for that matter, because when we are not holding our leaders accountable, we are giving them rooms to continue the corruption in each of these sectors. So when a ministry is not working, we don't need to just be there complaining. We need to take action. Escalate through social media and public awareness. Engage elected representatives and demand investigation and audit into their activities. Let's support groups that are advocating and pushing for reforms of any of the agencies that are not functioning. Because silence, they say, allows failure to continue. A functioning country is not built by government alone. It is built when government does its job, ministry perform its duties, and citizens hold them accountable. That is the balance we must achieve. Ministries are not just offices in Abuja. They are meant to be drivers of development in every corner of Nigeria. But for that to happen, they must be efficient, they must be accountable, and they must be monitored by all of us, you and I. We need each ministry in the country to start being effectively functional. Don't just be there in the offices marking attendance, receiving taxpayers' money as salary. We want to see your effectiveness. It's our collective responsibility to ensure that we are all looking out for these ministries. When ministries are not functioning, then there is no way the country will function. So in our next episode, we will be breaking down each ministry one after the other and their respective responsibilities, and expose what they should be doing versus what is happening. So if you have any ministry in particular you would like us to either call out in appreciation or in awakeness to their responsibility, please do not fail to say this in the comment section. So that is that on today's episode on Big Emma Podcast. Please do like, comment, subscribe, and share this video so that together we can all continue to create the awareness that is needed for the nation building. There is so much awareness that is needed. Thank you and remain blessed.